His signals here. Okay.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
First screen.
Yeah. You can just say hello if you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can hear that.
Yeah. On you go.
Okay, hello and welcome to our first in a series of webinars, the Dundee Property Market Update. We're here to help and advise you on the local property market and moving home. I'm Karen Nicoll and I've been involved in new build housing in the local area for 30 years. The current pandemic may have made you realise that you want to move home, whether it's now or in the future, but you might be worried about visiting our premises, so we thought we'd give you all the latest advice in this modern format to watch and enjoy in the comfort of your home. Today, I'll be joined by Darren Leahy, a partner with Lindsays solicitors based in Dundee, who will advise on the current property market and procedures during the coronavirus. Future webinars will include mortgage and financial advice from our partners, Karen Mortgage Services, who can provide more information on the funding incentives available from the Scottish Government. So, thank you for joining us. Hope you're having a good evening. First of all, why would you buy a new home? A new build home obviously comes with a 10-year warranty. It's got a guarantee for defective workmanship and for the structure of the building. You also get your choice of plots if you manage to book or reserve a plot at the early stages of construction. You can choose perhaps one with the largest garden or smallest garden, depending on your preference. You might choose one for the orientation of the sun if you're a sun worshipper and would like perhaps the sun to be in your back garden and you would like it to be south facing. If you get in early enough when we release our properties, you can obviously get the choice of the best plots. A new build property obviously comes with the choice of kitchen, provided it's not been at that stage of construction. You'd be able to choose your colour of kitchen, your worktop, your handles and things to get it, the kitchen the way that you want it, avoiding obviously a replacement and the cost of replacing a kitchen. So you would get exactly what you want in your choice of colours and to suit you and your family's preference. In bathrooms, it tends to be white sanitary ware, but you would get your choice of wet wall and tiling, again, in your choice of colours, whether it's beiges, greys. You can have the house built to suit your personal choice and as a blank canvas for you then to build upon your home. New homes are also built to the latest building regulations and building standards, and with obviously double glazing, insulation in the roof and the walls and things. It helps keep the maintenance costs down. The houses tend to be warm, like a little sort of airtight hot box, which helps with energy efficiency and your running costs, your heating costs. So it's usually up to the latest standards, and as I say, can save on your fuel bills and things like that. So there's lots of savings with a new home. Some people think new homes tend to be small rooms, but it obviously depends on the design of the home. But certainly from my experience, our properties that we tend to build have certainly large double bedrooms, and you will fit in a double bed. Most bedrooms tend to have built-in wardrobes, so it's not always the case that new homes tend to be smaller than like a second-hand property. So it's certainly worth looking at, and it's not always the case that you're getting less value for money, certainly in my experience. So there's lots of benefits of a new home with the features, you know, the design aspects, the latest sort of doors, you know, glass doors, patio doors. There's lots of features. You're not having to go in and make lots of changes. Again, as I say, if you can get in early enough, there may be certain changes that you can make to the design of the home. or added features or benefits that you might want done during construction, that you can have built in if you catch the house at an early stage. And again, that then saves you doing it at a later date and getting the necessary tradesmen in. It can all be done during the build process, and when we hand the keys over to you, it will be hopefully the way that you would want it and avoid any inconvenience once you're moved in. So a new home, certainly as far as I'm concerned, has lots of benefits. I've been building homes in this area for 30 years, so I've seen a few changes over the years, but they certainly seem to be a lot more modern now, and a lot of benefits to it, and any energy efficient values is the standards that we have to build to. A DG Laing home, DG Laing, if you're familiar with the company name, we're a family business, and we've been based in Carnoustie all our days since we established 35 years ago. We just diversified from civil engineering and waste recycling, and currently do civil engineering in the local area in addition to building our own homes. So we've been building houses, normally about 30 a year in the local area, Dundee and Angus, certainly for 35 years. So we're experienced in what we do as a local family business. We care about the product that we build. We care about the development, how it looks, the features, and I think we care about the customers buying our homes and investing in us. So there's a lot that we perhaps do be a bit more personal, a bit more approachable, because we're a local business and we're a bit more contactable. As a company, I would like to think we are known for our quality. We're more interested in the quality of the product than producing high numbers of units. As I say, we take a bit more pride in the properties that we build, what they come with, the standard of finish, what's included in the property. So we take a bit more care and attention in what we offer you in a new house, and the number of units that we build in the area. All our homes come with a 10-year guarantee. Most new build properties have some form of guarantee. We're a registered builder with the NHBC, the National House Building Council. So in addition to the local council, the NHBC come out and inspect our homes at the various stages of construction, and we are bound by their standards and their regulations and have to meet those during the construction process. So the buyers of our homes have got that safeguard, that peace of mind that the house is built in accordance with the standards, and it's guaranteed for 10 years in the event of a problem. But hopefully, that should be pretty few and far between. But it's a peace of mind for people moving home that it comes with a guarantee if there's anything that goes wrong with it. Our properties as well, again, we don't tend to pack. When we design it, you see behind me one of our developments, we tend to give generous garden spaces. Our current development that we're working on, we have ample off-street parking for 2 to 3 cars, which you don't always get with a new home, and that then makes the properties spread out and a bit of space between the properties, and it obviously keeps cars off of the public road or parking part on the road on the pavement. So there's more than ample parking for each household. Most properties tend to have 2 cars per household these days, or possibly 3. And then when you've got visitors, it's good to know that your car's safe and it's off the street in your own sort of private driveway. So all our homes tend to come with that, and certainly that's the case with our current development that we're working on in Dundee. So new homes come with that. They also tend to have an element of green space and amenity area, perhaps a play park or just a green space that improves the amenity of the area with a bit of landscaping, just saves all the houses being built up, and just gives it slightly more pleasing to look at. So that comes with that. And also our properties, you know, I would like to think we give you value for money with the price that we tend to sell them at. I think at the moment our current development in Dundee, we're selling a 2-bedroom property at 180,000, which I think is quite competitive, ranging up to a 4-bedroom with an integral garage, utility room priced at 260,000. So I think they're competitively priced, and I think that's proven by the fact that they're selling quickly. When we came back out of lockdown, we released our next phase of 10 units, and within the space of 4 or 5 weeks we've sold 9 of them. We only have 1 remaining at the moment, so they tend to sell pretty well. You know, people are coming in and putting their name down for subsequent phases, so that has to be down to the quality and the product we're offering, and hopefully the value for the money we're given. As I say, being a local firm, our staff and our team, we've not got high numbers of staff, but they all tend to be from the local area. As I say, they're a little bit more approachable and friendly. We worked well together as a team to get the product right for you to move in. So we're slightly more contactable. You're not dealing with lots of different people. There's a few members of staff here to help you through the house buying process. So new homes, as far as I'm concerned, you're not having to go in, do work. You're not having to replace a kitchen, bathroom, alter the property considerably to make it the way you want. As far as I'm concerned, you've got a blank canvas. Effectively, you can create your bespoke home, have it the way you want it. When we hand the keys over to you, you'll then be able to put your own furnishings in, put your own stamp on the property, but we build it for you to enhance it really with a new home. Our current development, as I say, we're working in Dundee at a development at Castleview, just in the Bolumby area of Dundee. We've been there possibly for a year now, and we've got 5 different house designs to choose from, ranging from 2, 3 and 4 bedroom homes, as I say, priced at 180,000 to 260,000. There's 5 different house designs in there. There's 2 different styles of 3-bedroom, and there's 2 different styles of 4-bedroom home. We'll have a semi-detached version and a detached 4-bedroom. The detached 4-bedroom comes with an integral garage leading into the utility room of the home. So we've got quite a mix of houses to choose from. The development itself, we're just in the process of finishing phase 1, going on to phase 3, and there'll be 72 houses built there in total, split into 3 phases. So at this moment in time, we're just a third of the way through the development. The houses that we're just away to start shortly should be ready to move into next year. And then, as I say, subsequent phases will be ready from 2021 onwards with the same mix of 2, 3 and 4-bedroom homes. So there's quite a range to choose from. We have a show house on site. The Grayson Show House is open weekends from 11 till 5. And following the coronavirus, the show house is available for viewing by appointment. You can give us a call or make an appointment online. We'll give you the link details at the end, and you can make an appointment to view the show house and a couple of other properties that we've got on show at weekends from 11 to 5. If you can't get out, or if you're a wee bit unsure about at the moment going out, we've got virtual tours of most of our properties, which we can send you. So just give us a call, and we can send the links to you to see if they're of interest, the 3, 4-bedroom properties that were furnished for you to have a browse through. the property before you perhaps want to come out and have a visit to site and have a look at one in the flesh. But be rest assured, our show house and our sales staff have all been trained and given new safety measures in light of COVID-19. We've got hand sanitisers, we've got masks if you want them, we've got a protective screen in place, and obviously we'll observe the current 2 metre distancing. So be rest assured that your safety is paramount, as is the safety of our staff. And we've taken these stringent measures in our show house, in addition to the safety measures we've got in place for the workmen on site. So be rest assured that when you do visit us, your safety is at our forefront, and you're welcome to make an appointment to pop in, and we can help you if you're looking to move home or thinking about moving home, whether it's this now or in later years, whether you're a first-time buyer, second-time buyer, or moving downsizing. Our sales staff can help you through the process, advise you the properties that we've got on show. We can refer you to our partner, Karen Mortgage Services, to advise you on mortgages and finance. We might be doing a separate webinar on that separately. And we can also advise you on the various government funding initiatives that are available, the various funds that can help some first-time buyers and some people buying new build properties. I'll touch on those later. You also might have heard that the government's recently announced no LBTT, which is Land and Buildings Transaction Tax, formerly stamp duty. Following the coronavirus, there's relief on purchases of properties up to 250,000. So you've got, I think, a £2,000 saving on that at this moment in time, and I think that's valid till March 2021. So there's certainly support out there at this moment in time to help you if you are looking to move home, whether it's a larger one or whether it's your first property. There's assistance on that for you. That then brings me to our property expert. So I'll call him Darren Leahy, who's a partner with Lindsays solicitors and is based in Dundee. Darren has joined us tonight to help you and inform you on his knowledge and experience in the local property market. So if it's all right with you, I'm happy to pass you over to Darren.
Good.
Okay, Darren.
Yep, that's great. Thanks very much, Karen. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank Karen and DJ Laing for giving me the chance to present to you this evening. I hope you're all keeping well in these remarkable times. The fact that we're talking tonight on the property market, first-time buyers and new build purchases is a positive sign of progress and a sign of the world returning to some form of normality, for now at least anyway. Some housekeeping, there's no fire alarms planned here, so if you do hear an alarm, it's at your end, so please go ahead and deal with it. As mentioned this evening, I'll be discussing the property market and the reopening of the property market, and thereafter with a particular focus on new build purchases. Sorry, I come to the wrong part there. A focus on new build purchases, buying a new build property for first-time buyers, and then the impact of COVID-19. So just a brief introduction to myself and Lindsays. Lindsays is a Scottish firm of experienced lawyers for people and businesses. We're owned and run in Scotland, covering the country from offices in Edinburgh, Glasgow and Dundee. The firm itself consists of 255 people. We've got 40 partners, and in Dundee in particular, we've got 40 people and 9 partners working here. As mentioned, I'm a partner in the commercial property department. I became a partner in April this year, which, as you can imagine, is a bizarre time to do so, mid-lockdown and working from my living room. But when allowed to do so, I work from the Dundee office, and my main focus is working with a number of property developers and house builders dealing with all aspects of development work. I also deal with a number of residential transactions for individuals and limited companies. I know there's time for questions at the end, but my contact details are just at the bottom there. So if anything does pop up afterwards, after this talk's done, then please don't hesitate to get in touch and I'll get back to you just as soon as I can. I think I've been given 30 minutes of talk and talk here, but nobody deserves to listen to me for that length of time. So I'll get on with the main body of the talk. So the opening of the property market, the property market itself officially opened in Scotland following lockdown on the 29th of June 2020. It was close to dormant for 14 weeks. Prior to that, we were able to complete some property sales and purchases, but only in very strict criteria and in line with the government guidelines. The 14-week absence has allowed for considerable interest to build up in anticipation of the market reopening, and we're seeing the impact of that now. Since 29th of June, we've seen a huge surge in property viewings, sales being agreed, properties grow on the market, and from a house builder perspective, as Karen's alluded to, demand has been considerable. At Lindsays, and we're by no means alone, other firms will be similar. We expected to arrange in excess of 1,000 viewings after the 29th of June, and you can imagine the logistical effort in doing that. Our team here have been superb, done a remarkable job in assisting purchasers and sellers since the restart. The reopening of the housing market brought with it some new guidelines for viewings for prospective purchasers. At Lindsays, before an in-person viewing can take place, all purchasers will take part in a virtual tour of a property, generally by a video. Thereafter, when viewings are arranged, guidance is provided to everyone involved, from clients, homeowners, staff, outlining procedures to be followed to minimise the risk to all parties. The reopening of show homes at development sites has seen a considerable demand, as Karen had mentioned it before, and that's been backed up by the reservations there. And I think that can be said across developments in Scotland at various different levels in the market. This is supported by recent research up to 21st of June by Zoopla, just to say, looking at the demand for new build properties, and they've seen in Scotland a 33% increase in demand up to that time. In comparison, the southwest of England, well-known buoyant market, the demand was 23%. So there has been a real focus in Scotland on new build properties of late. The housing market itself works on a supply and demand basis, and that supply was simply taken away from everyone during the lockdown. So it's really pleasing to see that the demand has not gone away. If anything, it's been added to. Some stats that were prepared by the Home Builders Federation and Homes for Scotland to mark their launch of New Homes Week Unlocked from the 20th of July, highlights just the importance of a home after months of people taking refuge in their existing properties. So we showed that 55% of people polled stated they now value their home space more than ever. 2 in 5 said they would now prioritise space for a home office if they were searching for a new property, and I'd include myself in that stat. 1 in 5 people want to change their style of home, and 1 in 6 stated whilst in lockdown their interest in updating their home had increased. So as more and more people reevaluate their circumstances and consider a move, there's been a surge in new home inquiries and reservations, as mentioned. So buying a new build property, and there's a lovely DG Laing home there for you all to see, but there's a couple of points I want to make which are, it could seem quite basic, but they're very important, particularly with the focus being on first-time buyers here. So my first point to make would be to establish a budget. I do think it's very important that you know how much you can afford to spend, first of all in terms of your property price, but also how you'll manage financially once you're in the property. You've got to consider your mortgage payments, but there's additional things to consider as well, such as your council tax, services, home insurance. It'll impact your way of life once you're in the property, so it's very, very important to consider. The best starting point is to speak to an IFA. They'll be able to, as an independent financial advisor, and I know there's a talk coming up on that, they'll be able to search the whole market for a variety of mortgage products and then advise you on the most appropriate one and any shared equity schemes. Could also confirm to you how much you're able to borrow by way of a decision in principle, and that's essentially a thumbs up from the lender to say, yeah, they're going to lend a certain amount to you, and subject to their final checks and service. Karen's going to provide some details on some of these schemes available, but I just want to touch briefly on the First Home Fund for buyers, given the relevance, particularly to first-time buyers. So 9th of July, the Finance Secretary announced that the First Home Fund would be topped up by £50 million to £200 million, and the First Home Fund is a shared equity scheme to assist first-time buyers. Now, you do have to repay the First Home Fund, unfortunately, but this will be done when you sell the property, unlike a mortgage. There's no monthly repayments towards it. and how much you repay depends on how much you borrow, and it's worked out against the percentage of the property's value that you've taken up. So the First Home Fund could also be used along with Help to Buy ISA, and I know there's a lot of them still in place and being topped up each week, which brings me to the second point, which is savings. It's best to have a large deposit as possible in place to secure the best mortgage rates and to minimise your repayments. You also need to cover additional items such as solicitors' costs, and no matter how reasonable they appear to be, reservation fees, deposits, moving costs, fitting out your new property, all these things will need to be considered. And as mentioned, land and buildings transaction tax was changed from 145,000 up to 250,000 as the new nil rate band. So any property up to that value, there'll be no land and buildings transaction tax to pay. So you're at the stage, you've got your budget, you have your mortgage agreed in principle, you're adding to your deposit by your savings each month. Hopefully it's time for you to find that new home, and in particular if that new home is a new build property. There's just some points to consider which I'll move on to now. The first stage is a reservation, and once you've found that new build property you want to buy, you'll be paying a reservation fee for the developer to hold that property for you for a period of time. And the reservation form will then be signed by you and the developer, and outline details of the deal you've agreed with the developer, such as the house type, the price you've agreed, any incentives on offer, details of your reservation fee, level of deposit payable, your new postal address, and also your details, and then your solicitor's details. And at that time, it's important to know who your solicitor is going to be, because this will allow the developer to then issue what is known as an offer to sell. An offer to sell is an offer from the builder to sell you the property, rather than when you buy a second-hand property, where it be your solicitor who submits the offer to purchase. This method allows the developer to issue the contract on terms for each plot, similar terms for each plot, rather than, as you can imagine, if you've got a 72 house development, you don't want different contracts going around for every different plot on the site. You want to have some control there. So that's why an offer to sell is used. So once that offer to sell is sent to your solicitor, they'll review the document with you and explain the implications of the various clauses in the contract. Now, generally, particularly for me acting for developers, they won't accept qualifications or amendments to that offer to sell. Your solicitor may feel that's somewhat important to protect you and the mortgage lender, but generally speaking, only minimal qualifications will be accepted, but that's a point of negotiation for your solicitor and the opposite side. At that stage, I think there's a couple of points that are really important to consider, practical points. The first one is a date of entry. Now, unless the time you reserve the property, the property has reached completion, the builder won't be pinned down to a particular date of entry. What you'll be given in the reservation form is an anticipated completion date, and that's only indicative. It is not a certainty, and it could slip back by months. Occasionally it can be brought forward, and a number of factors can affect that. Things like adverse weather, like this evening, or more recently global pandemics have really put a spanner in the works for completing properties, as you can imagine. The date itself is then linked to a period of time, so normally 7 days after your reserve plot has been passed by the local authority as fit for habitation, and your NHBC cover note, which has been mentioned, has been issued. The difference from buying a second-hand house is that when you're buying a second-hand property, you have a fixed date of entry, which both sides work towards from the outset. So if you can imagine a situation, if you're not a first-time buyer, you have a house to sell to fund your new build purchase, and the new build purchase to complete, it can be tricky to have those dates to align. So in my experience, it's best to have a contingency plan in place just to bridge that gap if you can get an alternative accommodation between the dates. Even for a first-time buyer, it's worth considering the date of entry as well, as you need to give notice to your landlord. And again, having a backup plan for living arrangements can be ideal, just so you've got that in place, often known as moving back in with parents, but that may not always be an option. The other point to mention is your mortgage offer validity. So you will, hopefully by this point, be in touch with your financial advisor to obtain your mortgage agreement in principle. And now you've got your property reserved, it's best to go back with them to ask them to proceed with the mortgage offer. Your solicitor will be discussing with you concluding the contract for your purchase, and that can be done once your mortgage offer is received, hopefully. Now, mortgage offers vary in validity periods, generally 6 months, some can be 3, some can be longer, but this means your mortgage offer could expire before the anticipated entry date. So that doesn't provide a complication, but it's something to consider should your circumstances change in that time. You wouldn't want to burden yourself financially significantly when you know your property is not ready for a year, for example, and you've got a mortgage offer lasting 6 months, because the lender will likely need to reassess you for that mortgage offer, and you want to make sure that your circumstances remain as before. But discuss this with the mortgage advisor and your own solicitor at that time. The second point is surveys, and it's just to make you aware that when you do reserve your plot, although there may be nothing in the ground in terms of a structure, just the foundations of the plot, your property will still need to be surveyed by the lender. And at the time of reserving, your solicitor will be given a CML form. That's a Council of Mortgage Lenders. So if you just ensure that form is then passed on to your mortgage advisor, and make sure your solicitor's got it as well, because the surveyor will require this when going out to the property to survey it for mortgage purposes. So once you mentioned the contract being concluded, that's the part that everybody's trying to reach. They've got certainty that they are buying the property and the developer selling that property. So your solicitor will look to conclude the contract for your purchase to make it legally binding on both parties. It's at this stage that the deposit mentioned before is payable via your solicitor to the developer. Following on from the contract being concluded, the developer solicitor will issue a title set, and your solicitor will then report to you in detail on that title deed to the property you're purchasing. Now, the email you receive or the letter you receive reporting on title will likely be very long and more than likely be very boring, but I would ask you to take your time to look over it, as these conditions can affect your ownership of the property. There'll be a number of conditions of ownership there, such as potential restrictions on use to stop people running a business from their property, such as you wouldn't want your next door neighbour starting up a car mechanics business from his garage, or something similar. So there's conditions there to impact that. You may be notified of services running through your property, or even restrictions on pets could be contained in there as well. Generally, they're very fair, but they're just there to uphold the amenity of the development, but they could impact you, so it's really important you do read that and take note of what's in there. At this stage, you'll also be aware if there's to be a factor at the development. A factor is appointed by the developer to uphold and maintain the development once they've left the site. Again, it's with a view to upholding the amenity of development, which is in everybody's interests, but you want to know details about the factoring costs and how that will impact you monthly or quarterly when they build up. As your moving date approaches, your solicitor will be issued with what we call a state for settlement from the developer solicitor. So this is going to detail your purchase price, what you've agreed, any extras and additions that you've ordered on top of your purchase price with the developer directly. It could make reference to any factor, property management floats that you're going to contribute, and it will also take off any payments you've already made. So you've already made your deposit payment and your reservation payment, so there's a final balance due. This will allow your solicitor then request that balance from you, and they'll start gathering the funds, loan from the lender, balance from you, any first home fund or equivalent, and any help to buy ISA balance as well. I mentioned before the date of entry being tied to the property relating to being fit for habitation by the local authority, and that's just, as Karen mentioned, the inspection by the local authority to confirm the property is fit for you to live in. You'll be issued a completion certificate in due course, but your solicitor can't use their mortgage funds they're obtaining until they've got that confirmation from the local authority that the property is fit for habitation. Also, the new home warranty schemes has been mentioned, and it's an essential part that new home warranty scheme is available for you prior to completion. NHBC, which are used by DG Laing, are certainly the most well-known and popular 10-year warranty provider available. And just to give you an idea of the scale that they work at, in 2019 alone, just for Scotland, they registered 12,268 new homes. So they are a considerable presence in the new build market, and they will provide you with your 10-year warranty. Finally, the last point there is the date you've been waiting for. It's the settlement date. So this is the date your solicitor's gathered in the money and they're paying out the funds to the developer's solicitor. In exchange, you'll be able to arrange your handover on site, leaving you to go out and enjoy your new home. Now, the benefits of purchasing a new build property have been mentioned already, both the DG Laing one and buying a general new build property. And what I've just said there aren't to be taken as issues with buying a new build property, but just differences. But I could certainly assure you that there can be considerable difficulties with buying any property purchase. So do not let the difference in the process put you off in any way. together with the benefits of buying a new build, as mentioned already, there's also the various schemes available, and again that's going to be touched on just shortly and possibly in a future webinar as well. So just to come to the final point is the impact of COVID-19 on the property market. Not to end on a negative note, but it's hard to discuss anything at the moment without touching on that in a bit of detail. So the initial effect of COVID-19 was the property market shutdown, giving many people, including myself, sleepless nights as to what was to come. Now the impact is harassed selling agents, arranging viewings, new instructions to sell, and a flood of new buyers to the market, particularly first-time buyers. A colleague of mine remarked last week they'd signed more offers in one particular day than any other day they could remember in their 30-year career in property. I'll leave you to go and check who my colleagues are and who could have been in property for that length of time. Now, it's too early to know what the impact of the coronavirus pandemic will be on property prices. I think initially we've seen a bubble effect whereby demand has been quite high due to people being starved of the supply of properties. We've seen closing dates being set, and we've also seen properties being selling for over asking price. The suspicion is probably that this trend will even out over the coming months, but the hope is when it does, we can maybe return to pre-lockdown levels rather than a slump in the market. The future is a bit of an unknown, and I think if I did know what was in store, then I probably wouldn't be sat here. But the market will depend how the economy holds up post-pandemic. It's really important that we get the mortgage market to finance homes to stay resilient and lend to borrowers, and that would hopefully mean any pain to come will be minimal on the market. There is a considerable number of unknowns at the moment, such as a second wave or hopefully a vaccine. So in the meantime, all we could do is do a bit like we have been and we have seen being put in place by the property market, and we'll be on track as we are at the moment. So thanks very much for your time there. I'll just hand you back and look forward to your questions at the end.
Okay, so what we're doing. Okay, Darren, thank you for that. That was hopefully helpful on the current property market and the COVID-19 pandemic and the processes involved with the new build market. So thank you very much for joining us and updating us on the current situation with that. As both Darren and myself have indicated, there is funding available for home buyers. The Scottish Government has offered various shared equity schemes in the past few years to help people get on the property market. So they currently offer two schemes that we are taking part in. The Help to Buy scheme is a shared equity scheme. The government will retain a stake in the property. This is open to all home buyers, not just first-time buyers, and depending on your own financial and personal circumstances, the Scottish Government will offer you up to 15% of the purchase price. They'll retain a stake of up to 15% in the property. There is a price cap on the property that you can purchase, and this initiative is only available on property purchases up to a maximum price of 200,000. So if you're buying in excess of that, it won't qualify for the Help to Buy scheme. It has to be below 200,000, and the government would then have a stake of 15% or the equivalent of £30,000 if my maths calculations are right. So that's the Help to Buy scheme. As I say, it's not just for first-time buyers. A new scheme that was launched by the Scottish Government, because the UK government schemes are slightly different. The First Home Fund was just launched, I think, the week before Christmas. And this one is specifically for first-time buyers. You have to be a first-time buyer to qualify for this particular fund. Unlike the Help to Buy scheme, there's no price cap or no price limit on the property you're purchasing. It can be in excess of 200,000. but the funding that's available is slightly less. It's just funding of £25,000. That's the maximum that the government will give you under this scheme, but it can be used, as I say, for purchases in excess of 200,000. So there's slight differences between the two schemes. It will depend on your circumstances, whether you're a first-time buyer. But both schemes, you'll still have to have a deposit of 5% of the purchase price. That would have to be your contribution to the purchase of the property. More information on these various schemes that are available on new build properties will be covered in a future webinar that we're doing with our partners, Karen Mortgage Services. They are familiar with the criteria for the schemes, whether you would qualify for it. They're familiar with the current mortgage market, the financial market, and they're an independent company who can source a variety of mortgage incentives and deals that may suit your own personal circumstances. So we'll be doing a future webinar on that, which we will post on social media, and should help you to see if you're able to afford a particular property that you might be looking at, and they can advise you of obviously the cost involved in that process and determine your affordability. Sometimes it's just at the end of a phone they can give you an indication whether you'd be suitable and qualify, advise you of the cost of it, and give you an offer in principle over the phone. So we will touch on that at a future webinar to hopefully help you through the process. So if you have any questions, feel free to submit those questions to us on our Facebook page or by email to homes@djlaing.co.uk. We're happy to answer those questions, whether it's for ourselves as a developer on a new build home on our current development at Castleview in Dundee, or we can pass your inquiry on to Darren or to Lindsays, perhaps about the legal aspect, legal side of it, or about you may have to sell your own home. You may be looking for advice and assistance on putting your own home on the market. I'm sure Lindsays can help you with that, come out and give you an appraisal as to the affordability of your home. Everybody's just getting back to some sort of normality, and there's obviously new procedures in place to go through that process, but they're still available to do that, and willing to help you through the process if you're looking to move home, whether it's this now in the next few months, or you're looking to put it off till later in the year or even next year. We can help you with that. If you're a first-time buyer, you might want to reserve a property now and save towards the deposit and move in next year. You can do that as well. Obviously depends on your own circumstances. So we're happy to help you through the process, whether it's buying, selling, or the finances. We're here remotely. As I say, we've got a show house that's open at weekends. Our team are available at the other end of a phone, so we're happy to help you with any query you might have in helping you search for your dream home. So thank you very much for watching. We hope you've enjoyed our webinar. It's been a different format for us. We hope you found it informative and helpful. It'll be going out on various social media streams that you can watch at a time that suits you if you've not watched the whole thing through. But as I say, give us a call, drop us a message if you need any advice or assistance, or as I say, tap into our webinar with Karen Mortgage Services in the future. So thank you for watching. We hope you take care and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you. What am I doing now?